Yo! Hello, hello. Just posting that we're live. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone clearly see the Bitcoin chart? All right. It's just gonna be a chill live stream. We're gonna be taking a look at some charts, some altcoins, explain the trades that we're in, go over them, and then we'll do some requests. Longing Rose here. We'll take a look at Rose, yeah, for sure. Played out nicely so far. Chintaro, welcome, man. Simon, Oguri, Capitalist CMT, welcome. Yeah, so I guess let's get right into it. You guys see this Bitcoin setup here, so let's quickly start by talking about that. Oops, let's hide it. Why that setup, right? So yesterday we had the downside, right? We closed very ugly. What was our game plan? What were we watching? We ideally wanted to see a sweep below the monthly open, and not just below the monthly open like this, but ideally a little bit further, something like this at least, right? Take out these lows as well. Why was that important? Well, because the look of the monthly candle, right? If you take a look at the monthly candle from a clean view, you could see that we didn't have a wick to the downside on the monthly. That's usually not a good sign. So that was the target, but like I said, we didn't just want to see a quick dip below it, but like at least a little bit further to create a bigger wick, and then that would be something that we have that we wouldn't have to be concerned about, right? So prices came down. As you can see, we swept the monthly open, but we bounced already before really seeing a bigger sweep below the monthly open. Now on the low time frames, right, we got a decent bounce initially from here, bounced towards this high, right? Then yeah, some really ugly price action, rejected heavily to this low, sweeping people who were longing from there and putting their stops there, then straight back up to the highs, and then yeah, we didn't sweep the highs, we just consolidated a little bit. So what was my thought process after this low time frame price action, combining it with the higher time frame, that we could at least get a bigger bounce from here, right, back into some supply right here, maybe even the flat weekly top right there into our weekly range high, and then maybe look for shorts that up there to trade it back down and to go for the bigger sweep below the monthly open from there, right? Of course, as always in a ranging environment, step by step, taking profit along the way, but that was sort of the game plan for me, right? The fact that we are holding here and we bounced told me that maybe there was going to be a scenario where we didn't quite get a bigger dip below here, and instead we would take some liquidity higher up first. All right, so that's why this morning I took a look at the Bitcoin chart. What did I say? Well, where's local liquidity gonna be resting? Below these lows, right, and above these highs, obviously. Why? Well, we've been ranging in this low time frame range with this as the lows, this as the highs. Right above here we have this key high. So from all of this downside, basically the high where we rejected hard and then went for the sweep there, and that one is still unswept, right? So I think that's gonna be a big draw on liquidity as well. So what did we say? Low time frame range. If we get a sweep of liquidity below these low time frame lows, and then we get some strength, we see some reclaim, right? That could be a nice scalp long or day trade long, whatever you want to call it, back towards first target, the highs here, then highs here into supply, and finally maybe if we get it, the flat weekly top. All right, so that's why I attempted a long. Now of course these lower time frame setups, plus the fact that high time frame wise, right, we still have range highs here that got swept ugly, prices trading down here, rejecting heavily, so price still looking bearish, makes this low time frame long play a little bit risky, right? And also, yeah, because of the fact what I just said, that we could still need a bigger sweep below that monthly open to create a bigger wick to the downside, make it a risky setup. So I didn't go a lot of risk on the setup, but it's pretty straightforward, pretty clean, right? I longed there, I could have gotten a way better entry, so be it. Marked out my OTE, it's a low time frame trade, so from the low to, it should be there actually, to the high, right? That's where your OTE is. As you can see, some nice confluence there, and of course the level right there, keeping my stop right below there. I know that prices could do something like this and then send from there, but that's not the setup. The setup is like this. What would be the target? As I said, the highs here, some highs here, supply, and finally the flat weekly top. All right, is that clear? So that's what I'm watching here on the lower time frames for Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little squeeze here, reclaiming some lows and then getting some upside. I could be wrong, as always. We have a 4-hour close coming up as well in 21 minutes, so let's watch it live. It will be a good education, I guess. So yeah, let's see. Ideally, you know, I just posted in the Discord, ideally I want to see a more bullish 4-hour close than this one. Closing down here wouldn't be the best, although we could still, even if we close the 4-hour like how it's looking right now, I could still see a sweep 4-hour low into OTE and then upside towards the highs. But we'll see. I might close, I might not. Let's see. All right. Rose, right? We've been talking about it for, what is it, a few days, or was it yesterday? Let's remove these levels. What was basically the play? First up, the narrative, privacy narrative is always a plus, a big plus. But then mostly, of course, as always, the chart, right? We got the range lows, range highs, clean lows right there. As you can see, this was the sweep attempting the reclaim but failed. And then this sort of rounded bottom and now looking really strong. So in my opinion, once we get to reclaim this level and close a weekly above, I think any dip is a buy, targeting the opposite side of the range, which is range highs. So with plays like this, I'm not looking for a quick move, a quick low time frame move towards the first low time frame resistance. No, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to catch a bigger move on the higher time frames, but trying to get an entry on the lower time frames, and that way you can often maximize your winnings and risk reward, and can be a very profitable trade. It's the same that we did on Monero, right? When we caught the breakout, we focused on this price action and caught longs with pretty close invalidation and caught all of this, right? So imagine Rose does the same, right? It could, because as I just said, we're looking for a move on the weekly. If we close up here towards all of these three levels, first weekly liquidity here, then weekly liquidity here, and then the opposite side of the range, weekly liquidity all the way up here. But how are we trading it? We're focusing on the lower time frames, right, to catch an entry, and that's what we did. So this was a setup that I entered yesterday. Now what I also like doing with these kind of setups though is I like to take some off at the first logical, not necessarily resistance, but liquidity area, I would say, because with moves like this, you don't really know if it's going to be a real breakout or a quick sweep of liquidity, a grab, right, and then a heavy rejection and more downside. So that's why in this case as well, right, we had this as the highs, this as the lows. I felt like, so we reclaimed range mean there. If you draw, there's a range, let me show you. There, right, we reclaimed range mean, and then I was like, yeah, I think it's gonna go from here. So we took it long, right, and then beautiful continuation from our entry. Initially, I think, yeah, initially I had a bad entry, but then I kept longing here. So initially I entered like somewhere here, then I averaged down on this move, and then we got the buyback, the retest, right, and then squeezed up. What did I do? Take off half at this high for the reason I just said. It could have been a move like this and a heavy rejection back below there, then I would be fully out, right, looking for lower prices first. If we would see the breakout, that would be good, and then we would likely trade higher. So what did we get? We got the 4-hour close all the way up here, straight continuation, and a bullish daily close, right? Daily close far above this level. So for those reasons, as you might have seen already on the feed today, I'm still very bullish on Rose and think we trade higher in the short term here, yeah, on the hourly and the 4-hour chart. And for those reasons, I also added back a little bit, right? So let's say that my initial position was 100%. I reduced it to 50% after a sweep of these highs, and now I just added back to 75%. Why? Well, as I said, if we would have done this and this, I would still have taken 50% profits there. So it would be a risk-free trade. But we broke out, closed strong. Now we're seeing some consolidation and a nice sweep of low time frame liquidity there. So in my opinion, as long as we hold above these levels, we should be good for higher. So anything, let's remove this. So what's the breakout level, right? The daily level where we broke out from, and the range high, it's somewhere around there, right? So ideally we hold above there, and we don't see lower, right? I could see another sweep here, boom. If Bitcoin dips below the monthly open again, this could do something like this. But then I want to see a good buyback, right? Or ideally just go from here, right? It looks strong, it's pushing against low time frame supply. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the coming hours we see new highs on Rose. So yeah, bullish. I posted about it this morning as well. Where was it after this sweep, right? That it could be a great compound or entry area, and so far it has pushed up nicely. So let's see, my plan with the position right now that I still have, maybe I'll take some off again at local highs. I added like somewhere around here, so I will probably take the 25% off there again, just in case. Once again we do this, and chop more, then we likely test this again. If we get back here, I can add it back on, you know, just play it one side to another, and then if the real move comes, you still have a part of your position to enjoy the high time frame move. All right, does that make sense? Bitcoin is going up a little, I see. That's nice. Yeah, but we'll have to see, you know. This is the area where we dumped from, so would be classic if it was a buyback and then downside anyways. But yeah, you get my trade here, right? Let's see, we're at break even at the moment. We finally got some inflow, but Bitcoin is still so weak. It's weak, but yeah, if the 4 hour now flips bullish, I think we can get a bigger bounce. CC front running the bounce. What do you mean with that? Right. Other positions that we're in or charts that we are bullish on. The one I'm the most bullish on, I think even bigger, even more bullish than on Rose, is Verge. For those that know my charting style, right, know that I love trading ranges and know that I love trading liquidity, right, or range breakouts. And I think Verge here is one of the cleanest high time frame ranges that I've seen in a while. And combining that with, once again, the privacy narrative, I think it's just a matter of time before this breaks out. Just like Dusk did, like Monero did, like Zcash did, and pulls a big move. I could be wrong, but once again, I'm trying to get an entry on the lower time frames to catch a bigger move on the higher time frames. And I opened it, I closed it again at break even or for a small loss. I don't really remember. Now I'm back in some longs. But generally, right, you know the play. The weekly range highs, range lows, highs swept, lows swept. Once we get above this, I think it really starts squeezing into this weekly supply up here. And that would be a monster move to catch. So yeah, is it going to happen? We're not sure. But the fact that we broke above the weekly range mean, right? So as you can see, it has been a very pivotal area all along this range. Boom, resistance, then resistance, and now smashed above, ranging, swept lows into that weekly range mean, weekly mid-range, and the daily yesterday. So I was out of longs actually after, what was it, after this daily candle, because yeah, if you take a look at this, you wouldn't expect that the daily would close and would just straight up pump and break back above this lower time frame range mean, right? But anyways, I followed my gut, so I closed my positions where I was already out. Anyways, I was targeting lower. I thought we were going to sweep the lows again into this consolidation. That's where I was going to re-enter. But what did price do? We smashed back above this lower time frame range mean. Also a beautiful range, by the way. Lows, highs. Yeah, first low swept, high swept, and now just inside the range, right? But as you can see on the daily, this lower time frame range, what do we see? We have not closed a daily candle above this lower time frame range mean until yesterday. So yesterday was the first daily close above that level, and I think that's like, you have some people who don't like trading closes. I do like high time frame closes, like lower time frame, hourly, 4 hour. I barely use the close to decide on my positions. But on the daily and on the weekly and on the monthly, it can be very signaling for strength or weakness, in my opinion. So close to daily above this local range mean, and now, as you can see, retesting into the mid-range. So as long as we now hold above on the lower time frames, I think we should be good for higher prices. What would be the trigger that, or what would signal a breakout of this range and possibly a breakout of the bigger range? Well, a reclaim, of course, of the lower time frame range high, right? So if you get strength here, boom, start reclaiming this, yeah, then likely towards this next. Again, I will take some profit at this weekly range high level. Why? It's still weekly resistance, right? Prices could pump in there, reject heavily, and range for another couple of days or weeks before seeing the real breakout. Maybe it does something like Litecoin, where it keeps ranging for 15 years. I don't know. So whenever, especially in market conditions like this, where Bitcoin is in a ranging environment as well, take your profit when you have it. You don't want to sit on 2 hours of profits and not take a single penny out and round trip your entire position, right? So if we get the move, take some profit, trail those stops, and wait it out. And if price keeps pumping higher, you will still have a part of the position to enjoy the show. All right, but that's the idea behind this, and why I really like Verge. These kind of charts, especially it's a Dino coin as well, you know, Monero, Zcash, and then apart from the privacy world, there has been some Dino coins that had a huge run as well. So let's see, you know, but I like it. Low time frame, we could see a sweep of some lows here. Like I could see this is your lows, these are your highs, right? I could see something like this, a sweep of the lows and then a reclaim and then back to the highs. It's a range, you know, so buy the lows, sell the highs. I had a horrible entry on on my longs. I entered like somewhere around here, then I added a bit there, but yeah, we'll see, you know. For now I have my invalidation below the lows, but as you can see, we have some equal lows right there. So what could also be the case, that we get a bigger dip, something like this, and then a sweep in there and a reclaim. If it's really bullish, you want to see a good buyback from a sweep there though. If we dump below here and we consolidate here and close some, like I said, the daily candle, daily close, important. If it's below that level, I'll be out and I'll be waiting until we see some strength again. All right. So those are basically the positions that I'm in. I'm still in my Litecoin swing longs. It's basically on the weekly. Yeah, before I show the position, you can see it's just a demand area, right? Right here where we're sitting, right? Boom, low, sweep, and now looking to buy the retest, right? And target, even if it's just up here, you can have a pretty tight invalidation, as you can see, which already gives you a nice risk to reward, even if it's just back towards these local highs right there. So, but yeah, Litecoin has been disappointing for a lot of people for a long time. So, but yeah, I like the setup. It's a weekly setup, so you gotta give it some time. If the weekly candle this week closes like this, then I'll be fully out. Then I think continuation to the downside is more likely, or then I think if we get a weekly bounce, it will just be to sweep the previous week's flat top and then continue to the downside. So I want to see buyback here, and I want to see ideally a green close, but yeah, not sure we're gonna get it. Bitcoin rejected, it seems. Yeah, let's see. I could still see it squeeze higher here, but we'll see, you know. I took this trade with very low risk, so I'm fine if I get stopped, you know. I'll have the opportunity to retry lower down. What's a good entry for Bitcoin? Well, yeah, like I said, it depends on the trade you're looking for. If you're looking for a bigger bounce, I wouldn't enter here. If you're looking for a scalp or a day trade, could be a nice trade here. But overall, I still believe that my first scenario for Bitcoin is the best, of course, which is where we sweep lower below the monthly open and then reclaim it. So if prices do this and we spike below there, I think a lot of people will think that we will break down. But if we then get a strong bounce and a reclaim of the monthly open, then I think that's a great entry. Even if it's back towards here, you know, then you enter there, keep your stops below the low. And as you can see, already 2R risk towards these highs. But at that point, think about how the monthly candle would look more healthy, you know. We still have 10 days. If we keep pumping a bit and we close the monthly strong, then we were back on for 105k or something, you know. But hey, step by step, we'll see. How did you find Rose, Dusk and SCRT? Because of the current chop of Bitcoin, it makes no sense to trade those majors, but I'm not finding those gems with more volatility. I think Verge was already in my watch list. Rose I found because I was looking at similar plays to Dusk, because Dusk did this, right? So it was a lot on my timeline, and then I started looking for, then I found out, I didn't know it was a privacy coin, and then I started looking into it, and then I found Rose. And yeah, same with this one. I initially was long. Where did I long? It was like somewhere around here, but I closed it in full at these highs, even a bit lower, for like almost no profit. Why? Because like I said, I'm in Rose, I'm in Verge, and Litecoin, and I felt like I was over risked, so decided to wait. And of course, because my entry wasn't great. And now that I'm looking at it, we swept the highs, rejecting here, so I wouldn't be surprised if this trades back towards this 4-hour demand or hourly. And then I'd look to buy something in there, something like this. And then even for a bounce play, it's already nice, you know. What would that look like on the daily? Daily is not looking too great here, you see. But this is a huge level. So yeah, could even sweep below there. Could even do this. And then, but yeah, anything in this blue box feels like a nice buy. Flat for 4-hour candle here as well. Something like this maybe. So yeah, buying some dips makes sense. Just keep your invalidation wide enough. I'd say below there should be safe. And then weekly, nice chart, you know. Quick deviation, reclaim, ideally close the weekly strong, and then buy dips on a weekly dump next week. Let's see, 12 seconds and the 4-hour candle closes. What's it gonna be? Yeah, that's a pretty neutral close. Maybe, yeah. I think at least another go for the 4-hour low at the moment, so don't think those 4-hour stops are safe. something like this. Let's see. Why would Litecoin not fully take out the wick? Lots of times those wicks get backfilled. You say you took the trade with low risk, meaning less than 1 hour, or how much did you risk on that trade? Yeah, less than 1 hour. I'm trading a 10k public account at the moment in the Discord, so if you want to know more about that, the Discord is free. Sign up on Blowfin, trade there a bit, and you're free to join. So you aren't looking for shorts, but only for longs. Yes, that's right. I don't really like shorts, especially when Bitcoin is down 30, 40, 50% from its highs. And I just simply don't like shorting Bitcoin in general anymore. So yeah. But if we get a good bounce here, right, and retest this, I see this as a nice short, you know. And I probably would go for a short there if we get it. But not right here, no. We just took out this low into demand. We're around the monthly open. We swept the monthly open. I'd rather look for for longs here. Getting some buys here, but flat 4 hour, highly likely we take that out, you know. Let's see what gold and silver are doing. Silver, once again, almost at all-time highs. Platinum is doing nice. You like this pattern? I tweeted about this yesterday. Nah, but Platinum was looking so nice. Broke out, retest, and now just looks like it wants to go. I'm targeting the FIP extension 1.618 up here next. And for silver, I'm basically looking for anything above 100. I do think that we're going to get 3 figures silver soon, and I think it will not touch 100k and dump. So I'm looking like for 104 towards 112, somewhere around there. And that's where I'll TP my next part. Gold, also mental, just keeps going up. And then yeah, the S&P. We had the close below the yearly open earlier, but then just straight punt back above and close back above. So I'm not sure, you know, on this one. I'm not trading this, by the way. I'm just looking to buy more of this on dips, like I said, below here, and if I get it around here. But yeah, not sure I'm gonna get it. Rose on the daily is actually really beautiful. Look at this range. So all of this downside, this was the first area where we saw a decent bounce towards this high, right, in one go. Then a lot of ranging, proven that the mid-range was pivotal. Below here, attempted to reclaim, but failed. Another big deviation, and as you can see right now how pivotal range low is. Resistance, close above, support. Now looks like it wants to squeeze higher towards range mean again. So as long as we hold above there on the lower time frames, I'm targeting higher. What would be a bad thing? right? Because as you can see, 4 hour doesn't look too hot right now, you know? We have the highs, we have the lows, and we have this 4 hour structure of candles that are very ugly. All of these lows are unswept, barely have a wick to the downside. So ideal scenario here. We get some downside now, take all of these out, take that low while we're at it, reclaim, and then we send it back to the highs. I think that would be a great plan here for the lower time frames. So if you're looking to get in, you might want to wait, in my opinion, because down here you have a way better entry, cleaner invalidation, way better risk reward rather than up here, because I wouldn't feel safe with a stop loss below here, sorry. Makes sense? Leave a like, guys, if you enjoy the stream. Subscribe. The usuals. If you're looking to, if you don't have a lot of capital, you can try out a breakout account, get funded. You buy an evaluation for a flat fee, and then you can do an evaluation, and if you pass it, you get funded. Can be a nice option for some of you, maybe not for all. But the links are in the description if you want to check it out. Zcash, still following my initial plan. I want a sweep of this here, so like this, and then I might look for a buy for a bounce play, but not here, I think. Although I like the look of the weekly at the moment, because we swept this flat bottom and are seeing a decent buyback. So wouldn't be surprised if the weekly flips green here as well. Let's see what Bitcoin does here. Okay, so now we have a wick to the downside. Let's see if we get this or not. Or brown bounce from here, you know. We have the wick. What else are you guys watching? Some of the charts you see on the internet are pretty funny. Like some people are like posting these fractals on Litecoin. Do something like this. But like without any explanation or anything, so yeah, it's weird. I wouldn't mind though if it does this. It's like the new thing on Twitter, the for you, you know. And once you're like into a coin, you get like 1,000 posts of it. I had that with Litecoin because I made that article that I was holding some Litecoin spot, and why I thought it would be a good idea. Of course, we've been down only since. But yeah, it's funny. Solana. Let's take a look. It's not. It's at support, you know. I posted this on Twitter, where I said there's definitely a scenario where I can see a squeeze shorts and flip the weekly green. Right, this chart. We are at support on Bitcoin, on Solana, on a lot of altcoins. So as long if we hold here, there's definitely a case where I see a big squeeze happening on Bitcoin, and then it could be one with follow through to the upside, but we'll have to see, you know. If the weekly closes here, yeah, then I think we're just gonna retest and dump. But there is a case where prices start bouncing maybe over the weekend, I don't know, and we take out this flat top here within this week. So let's see. So yeah, Solana. As I said, also at support, this one right here, dumped straight from the open. Daily is looking uglier, but clean range. Let's mark it out. We are below the mid-range. Oof, beautiful. See the pivotal price action here? But range low demand, as long as we hold above this, right? Maybe another sweep of the lows, of course, but I could see a nice bounce from there back into range high supply. It's a range, you know, it's a range until proven otherwise. We are at the lows. Maybe we look for buys targeting the highs. I'm not saying it's the bottom here, you know, but makes sense that until we get a breakdown, that we just target range highs again. Any other interesting coins that you guys think? Damn. Zcash is strong. It looks ugly here though. Give me this. And it might be a good bounce play. Just towards here again. Oh, Pump. Pump was nice from last stream. When was it? Oof, not nice anymore. From Tuesday stream, right? Traded here, I think. And what did we say? We have these highs, these lows. Will be a nice bounce play if we sweep the lows, reclaim, and target these highs. And look how beautifully that played out. That was the setup I entered before and closed at break even, and then explained it on the live stream. Not sure if any of you remember, but that was nice. And to be honest, yeah, right now it looks a little fucked, but I quite liked Pump, the look of it on the higher time frames, as we reclaim this retest while sweeping. While sweeping this weekly low, last week's low, got swept. Yeah, there, swept into demand and then solid buyback. But we'll have to see what it does here over the coming days, right? If it does something like this and we bounce here, then I think up to this high next. Otherwise, we could get lower. But I'll keep an eye on it. On the 4 hour, for example, if we reclaim this now, which is going to be key resistance, that's the high that got swept and where we are rejecting from. So if we now, for example, do something like this, we retest that, consolidate here a little, range a little more, and then reclaim this, that's a good entry in my opinion to target a breakout higher. So keeping an eye on this. Fartcoin. That was the level we were targeting. Yeah, see, I don't like charts like this. It's a meme coin, a lot of back holders, clean highs, swept, and just rejecting. So yeah, until you see any sign of real strength, why would this bounce significantly here, you know? In my opinion, more chance that this does something like this and then maybe bounce at this big support again. So yeah, maybe go for a long play there, or if we pump here, go for shorts as close to range high as possible to short it back down to new lows. GPS, what's that? This? Not sure. Weekly swept some lows, but yeah, I don't know what this coin is, if the FA is good or anything. But the chart looks okay, looks like it's sort of bottoming out. But even then, right, as always, what you get is bigger bounce from here maybe, right? But then more accumulation and then a real run back to here or something. But it's unlikely that from here it's gonna do this, right? It could be, but yeah. Useless, looks pretty useless to me. Just like Fartcoin. Yeah, I see no point in trading this. Like, look at this. Looks rough. Lower, I think. you can clearly see the difference, right, between a weekly chart like Fartcoin that looks like this. What was what's this one? Yeah, that looks like this, and that just swept the highs and continues to nuke. Or a chart, for example this one, that has been holding up really nicely and just ranging and looking strong, bonking against the resistance. Or Rose, right, downside, but that's showing real strength at the moment, reclaiming a key level and liquidity resting on the other side. I like to choose these over Useless or Fartcoin. And there's plenty in this list that look very ugly, right? Look at Tia, right? Down only. Tau is decent, but still I don't really like it at the moment. S, ugly, right? At new lows. Sui, right? Swept weekly highs, looks like it wants to die. Sonic, down only. Synthetic, I think it is. Looks like it wants to go to zero. Say, looks like it wants to go to zero. So in my opinion, most altcoins look very, very bad, you know. But yeah, it's like rotations, you know. Then you get one pump and then start focusing on the narratives. And go for the strong ones. Rose struggling hard now to hold. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to hold here. Like I said, let it sweep some lows. It's only a good thing. Down here, let it do this, or maybe even this one as well, like this. That would be good. Something like this. What's Bitcoin doing? A little bounce, but it's getting sold into, you know. Aye, aye, aye. But let's see. I'll likely hold this. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does some crazy wick again like this and then sends. I doubt we break down from here into 84k. I feel like we haven't taken enough liquidity on this run. Yeah. It's a bounce area. Do this, strengthen here, and I think we pop at least to like 92, 91, 8, 92. But I think honestly higher. Yeah. I like also the fact that we saw this ugly price action yesterday. I was at the restaurant, so I wasn't home whenever this crap happened. Low and then the bounce, right? And then some ugly shit, and then oh, we popped and everyone was like, oh, nice. And then we did this and everyone was like, yeah, it's over. And then we did like this. Actually, someone in my Discord traded these moves beautifully, perfectly. He shorted them, shorted Bitcoin here Like on the low time frame, you know, targeted the lows, targeted here, and then flipped long at this low, targeting somewhere here. But yeah. So what was I saying? I really like the fact that we did this, right? So we grabbed liquidity to the downside on this move already. So that's why we might be in for a reclaim from here. But like I said, could easily do this and then reclaim and send. So let's see. We'll probably know in the coming hours. Your audio is low, but the stream is already playing for an hour. Yeah, see, Rose. That's good. Let it get some people out, you know. That's fine. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about it as well, so yeah, want to be careful with that. I guess a lot of people are gonna have their stops below here, right? So why don't we take that out as well in here? I feel like not a lot of people are gonna have their stops if they are longing in this, like below here or something. Most people are gonna place their stops more tight, so take those out, reclaim this, and we're on for the next move higher. Ooh. Verge dipped, swept the lows on Bybit, not on Bluefin, and not on Mix. It's only on Bybit. Yeah, let's see. Monad also dying. And Bitcoin Cash is strong again. A bunch of flat bottoms though. Well, most charts took them out now on this dip. Where can I find your music? It's lo-fi, but anim. So I'll send the link. What's this? Where would you buy spot hype? I don't like hype. It's so weak. it just made a new low below its 10-10 wick. So, not sure. Maybe down here could be good for at least a bounce. Right, but before that, like right here, I think I wouldn't touch it. But once again, flat weekly top. We have swept this low, we have swept this low. If now the weekly flips bullish and we close up here, yeah, that could be the start of a bigger move back to the upside, back to this pivotal level. Same thoughts. Nice. Hello, Marek Bartosiewicz. Can you take a look at Tia? Yes, we already did earlier, just briefly though, but we said we didn't quite like it and we thought it was going to zero, so yeah. You see, that's not ideal. Many smaller coins have huge rallies. River, yes, I saw that on. I had never heard of it before. What is this even? Crazy. Looking for this one. This I would likely give it a go. Because also, like, I saw a lot of people tweet it, like right here. So get some people out, take liquidity below here, and then we bounce it, and then should have the strength to go higher. 1 billion market cap. Damn. Negative funding for quite a while too. Yeah, I'm not interested in it anymore now though, now that it broke out that much. Rose doing its thing. Nice. Let's see, I think lower, but I could see it bounce from here. It will depend on what Bitcoin does. Let's add this. Yeah, you see these 4-hour candles that I just talked about. Those have been taken now, so the chart is already looking a lot more healthy than it was before, right? We just kept on the lower time frames. We kept on bonking against this, and I was like, okay, well, if it wants to break out, so be it, do so. But it wasn't looking healthy, right? The 4-hour had no wicks here, lots of liquidity resting there probably, and even more below here. So now that that's out of the way with, give it a proper sweep below here, wick those out, and then some ranging, and then we can target higher. But we'll see. The daily will be important. So as I said, we have that daily level right here. I don't really want to see a daily close below there. If that happens, I will likely be fully out of Rose until we reclaim it again. What I want to see here is exactly what I've drawn. Downside, sweep the lows. We can break below the level as long as we reclaim it and trade back above it. But yeah, Rose has these types of, like, it was scary for me to long this as well. It was looking weird on the low time frames, a lot of sell pressure, like you can see on these moves, and then it suddenly bounced really hard and sorry, traded higher. It tends to have these, maybe it's a similar move, you know. Hold on. If TradingView wants to load, let's do it like this. So what did we have? Pump, right? And then liquidity being built up there, failed to break out, swept all the lows, and then it had strength to break out. Pump, build up liquidity, reject at the highs, sweep that liquidity, and pump to new highs. You see it's sort of the same, you know. And this sweep into this demand, this sweep into here. But yeah, this was we spent more time consolidating here than we did here. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if it just takes that out, right? But the structure is still the same, you know? Then it would just take out liquidity here into this consolidation area. So let's see. How much leverage is ideal for Bitcoin and alts while taking trades? Leverage does not matter. It's the risk it's the position size and how much you risk per trade that matters, not the leverage. Leverage is just a tool. Well, what's it gonna be, Bitcoin? Do you want to trade lower or higher? Come on, do it. I know you want to. Wow. Let's watch the 1 minute chart like true Deegans. Coinbase Premium, we need you. Yeah. We could use some spot buys. That's true. It was a nice short from here as well, but when I was looking at it, but the risk reward simply wasn't there because, yeah, why I really thought we were going to trade below at least this low, and why is because we didn't have a wick on the daily candle to the downside, and especially after moves like this, like you can get flat tops that don't get swept, but it's very rare that you see a flat that you see price bottoming out, right? And then not taking the low out. So, and we had that, we bounced, right? And I was like, yeah, either we're going to sweep this and go for that flat low, or we're just gonna nuke from here. And then I was looking at short setups, but I didn't want to place my stop right above here because yeah, that's where a lot of liquidity is gonna be resting as well. So I didn't take it, but that's why I had the plan of price trading towards here, and then if it holds, right, we could see a bounce, and that's still what I'm looking for here, but not sure we get it. You know, daily the 4 hour is not really convincing, especially because right before we started breaking down out of this hourly consolidation, we did this, and that's not good. You know, we quickly grabbed liquidity here and then dumped. So we'll have to see, you know, if price finds acceptance back above here, I think we at least go back for these highs. If we see downside here, keep your eyes on OTE, right? If we if we sweep last 4 hour low, which is here, on a move like this, and price holds again, could be we trade higher from there. And yeah, if OTE doesn't hold, we're likely going for a bigger sweep below the monthly open, which on the high time frames wouldn't be a bad thing. And then we'll see, you know, if we get that high time frame sweep, boom, wait for a high time frame reclaim. All right, if the daily breaks back above the monthly open, then it's on. We target the highs next, but know the difference between a low time frame play and a high time frame play, you know. On the high time frame, it would be good if Bitcoin gets a bigger sweep below the monthly open, but then you need to wait for the high time frame reclaim, because longing based on the low time frames, right, is very risky at that point, because it's still a monthly open breakdown. So yeah, wait for confirmation on the daily and take it from there. I'm in some lower time frame longs here, as I said before. Like you can see, why is it taking so long? Right here. But yeah, we'll have to see. And then those altcoins, I will be looking to buy more, especially if I see Bitcoin bouncing here. Or if I see Bitcoin dumping here, but those altcoins hold up nicely. Then I'll be looking to add to Verge and Rose, not Litecoin. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna hop off here. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. Nice live stream, just taking a look at some setups, some charts. You know, we'll do these more often. Maybe I'll do one tomorrow actually as well, a follow-up on this one. See what we get here on the lower time frames, and take a look at it tomorrow. All right, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I have a Discord group where I'm very active these days. If you want to join, it's completely free. Use one of the links in the description. Sign up on Blowfin. Get a funded account on Breakout. Send me a DM and I'll add you to the group. All right. Take it easy, manage your risk, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.